I've got some exciting news for you today. I've just been interviewed on the Engineered Mind podcast. Now, for those of you who haven't heard of the Engineered Mind podcast, the Engineered Mind is a fantastic new podcast that's being developed by Joseph Murad, and it covers many interesting topics in the field of science and engineering, including computational fluid dynamics, solid mechanics, AI, machine learning, and the interface between those particular subjects. So if you're in the field of engineering and CFD, as you probably are if you watch my channel, I'm sure you'll find many interesting podcasts to listen to over on the Engineered Mind podcast. Me personally, I like to listen to the Engineered Mind podcast while I work, and I find it gives me lots of interesting ideas for concepts and things to look at while I'm working. Now, in my particular interview in the Engineered Mind podcast, I talk about my background and my history, where it was I started with CFD and how I got into the field. I know many of you in the comment section often ask, Aidan, where did you start and how did you first learn CFD? And I go through a lot of that in detail on the Engineered Mind podcast. So if you're interested in hearing about my backstory, you can find all that in the podcast episode over there. And in addition to talking about myself and my background, I also answer a number of questions that were sent in to the podcast. And some of these questions involve things like, how do I approach CFD cases in general? Where if I start from a completely new CFD case, what do I do to start the process and what things do I look at? How do I approach the problem? I then also talk about convergence and how you assess whether your case is sufficiently converged and accurate. Can you use the results? So for those of you who are interested in CFD and you do CFD on a regular basis, you may find my particular approach and my insights useful to you in your own work stream. So it's a fantastic podcast. I know you guys are going to really enjoy it. I've left a link in the description below this video, so you can just go ahead and click the link and you'll find the podcast quickly there. And while you're there, on the channel, check out some of the other interviews. For those of you who are in the OpenFOAM community, there's interviews with Tobias Holtzman and Joseph Nagy as well, which I find particularly interesting as I use OpenFOAM fairly often. And for those of you who use OpenFOAM as well and are active in the community, I know you'll find those interviews particularly interesting. So go ahead, click on the podcast, listen away. I hope you find it enjoyable. And of course, as always, just drop a comment somewhere and let me know how you found it went. Do you think, is there something you'd like to see more of? Would you like to see more interviews? Either way, I know you're going to find it extremely interesting and a lovely talk to listen to as you're going about your day. So until next time, I'll see you in the next video.